Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and another palette roulette video in which we discuss a palette that I let an app choose for me and use for a week. For those of you who are new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for coming back and continuing to support my channel. Today we are discussing the Colored Raine Very Cute palette. My app chose this palette for me last week. It is a relatively new palette to my collection. I did pick it up in a mystery box that I purchased from Colored Raine. Colored Raine is a brand that is on my brands that intrigue me list for this year, and I think they were on my brands that intrigued me last year as well, but I hadn't picked up anything to try from them. So when I saw that they were doing mystery boxes, I went ahead and picked up a mystery box, and this palette was in it. So this is the Colored Raine Very Cute palette. This is a palette that has a 5-star review on Colored Raine, but only 7 reviews. So, I mean, that's a take it or leave it kind of situation, right? You never know. It originally retailed for $36. It is currently retailing for $18, and it was a limited edition palette, but is still currently for sale on the Colored Raine website. I know that the 6 shadows inside are limited edition shadows. It does open up and has a nice mirror, and then these are the 6 shadows that are inside of this. You get 3 shimmers and 3 mattes, so it does have a really nice, you know, a variety for you as far as the shimmers and mattes go. There is equal parts of both, so it is, you know, a pretty decent palette. What I will say about this is I did partner it quite a bit with my Ofra highlighting, the midi palette Feeling Myself highlight palette, just because I felt like these shades worked really well with these shades, even though this one does have some shimmers in it. It just wasn't shimmers that I felt that I could wear every single day, but I did get some very great looks out of this palette. So this is, as you can see, this is 6 pans. It is a cool toned eyeshadow palette with 3 foils and 3 mattes. It is 1.5 grams of product, or per pan, sorry, or 0.05 ounces, which means they're approximately the same size as a ColourPop shadow, even though they look a little bit bigger in my mind. So the total packaging on this, total weight on this, is 9 grams or 0.32 ounces. The brand Colored Raine is a cruelty-free brand. Everything is made in the USA, and like I said, this was a limited edition palette that is still for sale on the website. I'm going to scooch over so I can talk a little bit about the shades while showing you guys some pictures. The first shade in the palette is Pinkleberry. It is this one here. This one is a medium pink with a gold shimmer. It kind of acts like a duochrome to some extent, and it is beautiful. It is super creamy, but because it's super creamy, it is also super thick, and it kind of can tend to look cakey if you go in too heavy-handed. This shade right here is Kiss Berry, and it is a burnt orange with kind of like a red undertone, and I went out of town this last week for work, and I used this as a blush on my cheeks quite often during that time frame because I forgot my blushes, and this actually is a beautiful blush that lasts all day long. It's also a look that, or a color that I found in almost every single one of my eye looks because it was just a really easy transition shade. You can sheer it out really well because the shades are, the mattes in this palette are pretty, they're pretty powdery. So the next one here is Purple Berry, and Purple Berry is kind of like a gray mauve matte. I didn't find a whole lot of luck with this color. It's not a shade that I've reached for often. I did use it as a crease and above the crease color with this purple down below. I also used it with this gray toned shimmer down below on my lid, and those looks turned out okay. Then we have Palm Berry, not sure. This is a dark magenta purple color. It does look very it does look purple in the pan, but it kind of performs like a magenta on your eye. Again, it is creamy and thick and can tend to look a little bit cakey on your eye if you're not super careful with it. The same holds true for Platinum Berry. The shimmers in this palette, these three colors here, are very nice, but they are super thick, so they can tend to look really cakey, and they don't sheer out very well. They are very opaque in nature. So the Platinum Berry is kind of a like purple taupe color, which really went well with this color as its initial first layer and in the crease, but didn't really mesh well with any other color in the palette, if I'm being honest. And the last color here is Love Berry. It is a dark red plum. What I did note is that I really could use this 6-pan palette and not have to bring a whole lot of other colors into it. Like I said, I did use my over highlighter palette a lot as the initial, or as the additional shades to this palette. I found that the color up here, Blissful, really went well with like the oranges and even the Love Berry in here, which was more of a like purple color. I used this one, not at all, but this one today I am using in there as well. The gold really meshed well with a lot, and they were easier shimmers to use, if that makes any sense. Because this is my first, I don't know, impression of colored Raine, I would say that these aren't any better than, say, a ColourPop. As a matter of fact, I would say that ColourPop shimmers are better, but I know that when this palette came out, a lot of people were talking about the differences in the quality of the shadows, the formulation of the shadows versus their regular shadows. So I'm not sure what the formulation differences are, so I really do want to give Colored Raine another chance. But with that being said, I didn't mind this palette. I think it was beautiful. I think it lasted forever. The shades performed well whether I was using a primer or not using a primer, so I found that to be amazing. The longevity of them was pretty stellar even without a primer. I know the first day I wore it, I didn't wear it with a primer because I just tend to start off with not wearing it with a primer so I can wear a primer the rest of the week. And these shades stayed on my lid just as well without a primer as they did with. I would say if there was any kind of longevity that was affected by not wearing a primer, it might have been 1 or 2 hours. But the palette and these shades worked well on my eyes for a good 10 hours each time I wore them. They didn't affect my eyes at all. We all know I have super sensitive eyes, so sometimes certain shades will just make me want to tear my eyeballs out, and this palette didn't do that at all. I really am impressed with it. What I will say is I love the packaging on it, and these little like three, kind of, it reminds me of a, what is that thing called, a spirograph? It reminds me of spirograph images. They're kind of a little bit raised, so it's got this little tactile feel to it, which is really pleasurable for those of us with like sensory, you know, things that we deal with. And then the colors inside really kind of mimic the colors on the outside. What I would say is that this pink really isn't in there unless you count this one, which is kind of showing up more as a gold in the screen, but is really a pretty pink on your eye. You know, I should have seen like the photos that I had. I really wasn't unpleased with any of the looks that I came up with. I will note that they are not the easiest to blend. My eye look today, you can see where like over here on the outside of this eye is like a blending nightmare, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's not the same for this eye. The darker the color, the harder it was to blend. They are kind of powdery. You tap into them and they are kind of powdery. The mattes are super thick and creamy, which creamy is good. They don't feel any different on the skin one to the next. I would say that the gray, well, the Platinum Berry and Palma Berry are a little more dry to the touch, but you guys, those colors are just beautiful. And you see what I mean? This one looks definitely a lot more pink than it does gold on the skin. So the colors are just really pretty. They just really are. But they do tend to get a little, like you guys can see, the pink shade down here is a little teeny bit chunky. So let me see if I can get it to focus. The pink down here is a little teeny bit chunky, which holds true on your eyes. So if you're not careful, definitely wet the brush with these guys. And if you're not careful, if you go in too heavy, this is what it looks like on your eye, all over your eye, and it can tend to look crepey and cakey and just creasy, even though it's not. I would say it was really easy to blend these colors out together, but it wasn't easy to blend the mattes into these colors. That's why I started using like the Ofra. That's like the halo in this eye is the Ofra highlight, because I know that I could get the matte to blend easier into it than I could get the matte to blend into one of these colors. So, but as far as the palette goes, I do love it. I do dig it, and I had a good time with it. There's only 6 shadows in here, and I didn't have a hard time coming up with 6 different eye looks with it. I think I have pictures of 4, maybe 5 eye looks. So even though there's only 6 shades in here, I did find that there was a lot of variety that I could come up with in these eye looks. And just looking at the palette, like I can look at the palette and find myself inspired by the shades in here and really think about what I'm gonna do on my eye next. So I'm not mad at this palette. It was a decent palette, and I'm gonna keep it around. I think it's good, and I love colored Raine, and I am taking what I know about this palette and gonna give colored Raine another chance. But I'm super excited that I was able to, you know, get one of those brands that intrigue me out of my mind frame for the next several months throughout the rest of 2019. Because it wasn't a bad palette. I was really excited to use it. So now we're going to, I hope that we were able to get all my pictures in. Now we are going to go into my Decide Now app. I do have a Samsung Note 9 Plus, Note 9, I think it's just what it's called. It might be a Plus, I'm not sure. Samsung Note 9. And I do get my app off of the Play Store for Android, but it is just a Wheel of Fortune type app, and I do know that you can pick those up at any of the app stores for any of the programs, because the channel that I got inspiration to do this kind of video from, she has an iPhone and she uses just a Wheel of Fortune app as well. So this is what my Wheel of Fortune app looks like. If I can get it to work in my camera today, we'll see. We'll see. It's just, like I said, it's just a Wheel of Fortune app. It's called the Decide Now app on the Play Store. And what it is just an app. You decide what you want your wheel to be about, and you put everything in that wheel, and then you spin the button, or spin the wheel. And to spin the wheel, you just press the center button there. I chose palettes to be mine because that is the Palette a Week series that inspired this by P.A.W. That is what she did. I have thought about doing blushes and stuff like that as well, for kind of like a quasi Shop My Stash series, letting these wheels choose the product that I'm using week over week. Only it kind of scares me because I couldn't like use this palette with a bright red blush and lipstick, you know, so it is what it is. But that is the sentiment of this spin the wheel activity. So then I have all of our palettes in here, all of my palettes in here. And as we use palettes through the Palette Roulette series, I do take them out. And as I bring new palettes in to my collection, I do put those in. So hopefully we will be able to get through all the palettes in my collection at some point. I think this is Palette Roulette number 41 or something like that. And I'm really enjoying doing this. I love that it gives me an opportunity to use the palettes in my collection. So I'm going to go ahead and spin the wheel. And we have the ColourPop Yes Please palette. This is an oldie in my collection, but a goodie. I'm gonna be right back. This is my ColourPop Yes Please palette. This is says Cute AF on the front of it. I don't know if you guys can see that. And then it's got all the pins in here and what their names are, because it isn't on the interior of the palette. There is no mirror, and this is what the colors look like. It kind of I think when it came out, it was like the dupe for Natasha Denona's Sunset palette. Sunset? Yes. Sunset palette. So I don't know much about that palette because I don't have that palette, and that might be a spoiler because I'm thinking about picking it up in the Sephora sale because it's on sale right now, and then there's an additional 20% off, so we'll see. But this is the Yes Please palette. As you guys can see, it is a dirty, filthy mess. I have used the poop out of this palette in addition to it being the, I think, quintessential palette to dupe the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. It was also a palette that Liv Loves reviews, no, that Liv Loves Her Makeup used all the time, and I was really into Liv. I don't know if you guys know Liv. She's no longer on YouTube, but I finally found her again on Instagram. It makes my heart happy to watch her again, but this is that palette. So I'm excited to use it. I can't wait to come back and talk to you guys about it and teach you a little bit about ColourPop. If you have no idea about this palette, please let me know down in the comment section what you would like to hear about it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. It really does help our channels out here in YouTube Nation. I also hope that you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you go. And if you do, don't forget to hit that bell that lets you know every single time I upload. I typically upload content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Sunday, depending on my work week. And I typically upload that content at 9 a.m. on those days, but sometimes, because I'm a hot mess with technology, it doesn't work out that way. So I would love for you guys to stick around and see me in the comment section. I do absolutely, that is the best part of this, is making friends in the comment sections. So please, please, please leave your comments down in the comment section. I would love to interact with you guys. Don't forget I have a giveaway going on. I will go ahead and link that video at the end of this video so that you guys can go back, watch that video, enter my giveaway. I hope that you guys enjoy all the things, and I'm so excited to get to pick a winner in, I think, about a week now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and until next time, guys, bye.